What is the Chinese calculation when it comes to an invasion in Taiwan?
Look, now nobody knows, so your guess is as good as mine. But I think my sense is, first of all, this is not just a Xi Jinping thing. The Chinese have always wanted Taiwan. Unification of China and Taiwan is in the Constitution of the People's Republic of China. It's written into the Constitution that is going to be one of their goals. It is the unfinished part of the Communist Revolution of 1949, that they have this piece of China that is not, that was the place where the nationalists escaped to, the exiles escaped to. Secondly, I think that Xi does believe that part of the kind of historical project that he wants to oversee is some kind of grand reunification. But I think China is very different from Russia in this regard. Russia is a rogue regime. They like to cause instability around the world. Look at, they're always doing it. Europe, even in the Middle East, Afghanistan, right? And don't forget, how do they make money? Like, I always go back to the money. The Russian economy is basically an oil and natural gas economy, right? When you have instability, oil prices go up. So they actually don't mind instability. That's actually good for them.
Yeah.
The Chinese are the opposite. They are consumers, not producers of energy. They need stability. They need low prices. They need international commerce. They export to the world. They need open markets. So I think what deters Xi Jinping more than anything else is the fear that if he were to invade Taiwan, he would get cut off from all the markets of the world,
and there goes his economy.
And China's economy goes into it. So I think the biggest mistake we could make is to cut him off from all of that anyway.
Because then he has no reason to not invade Taiwan.
Right. Then he's saying, I'm already being screwed by all these guys. The Americans are shutting me out of their market. They're decoupling from us technologically.
Wow.
I'm already in a fortress mentality.
Right.
Why don't I, and I can't, my economy is doing badly because of that. Why don't I score a big win on Taiwan?
Ideological reunification plus the semiconductors.
And also, when the economy is doing bad, it's easier to galvanize the people. All these people want China to die. We're going to prove to them that we don't die. We can even expand.
Right.
Wow, that's so interesting. So essentially, coupling with China will ensure the safety of Taiwan.
To some degree, right? Like, because that's the leverage we have with them.
Until they
don't use up the leverage before, like now the Taiwan semiconductors is a really interesting question because, the 95% of the world's most advanced semiconductors are made in one place in Taiwan by the TSMC.
Can you explain to the people what, and by the people I mean me, what exactly a semiconductor does?
Sure. So
thank God you asked, because I've been
because we hear these things all the
decades.
time, and it's like, what exactly does it do?
So a semiconductor is it's a piece of machinery. It's like you've heard about how with computers everything is bits and bytes. Everything is so everything is zeros and ones. So you're sending signals to take a language, for example, and turn it into zeros and ones. So how do you transmit that? How do you send that or store that? You have a machine that has little switches, and the switch is either on or off. The on is a 1, the off is a 0, and that is your mechanism. That is the code that you're sending across. Now, so you're thinking to yourself, well, we're sending a lot of stuff, right? So that's why you need these massive amounts of data to be easily stored on tiny devices. So we develop these things called chips, and they're called semiconductors because they are neither on nor off. So they're in this semi-state. And each computer chip, which looks like it's the size of maybe a nail, it has hundreds of millions of these transistors or these switches on them that have been etched into them by that lithographic machine I was talking to you about, the Dutch machine.
Yep.
And so that's how you store information. So they're either memory chips or they're transmission chips, which are moving stuff around. So that's the heart of all computers, of every computer. And the highest end chips, the ones that can hold the most of this stuff, are, these things are now measured in nanometers, which is the like much thinner than a human hair. Those are only made by this one company in Taiwan.
Wow. So this is a chip much thinner than a human hair that has hundreds of millions of these.
Hundreds of millions, literally. I mean, billions. And I mean, it's mind-blowing. These are the most complicated things human beings have ever done. And this one company in Taiwan is able to make them at 5 nanometer, now 3 nanometer. Nobody else can do it. And it's really partly a kind of like mystery as to why is it like, what is the secret sauce? Nobody knows. Everyone has tried. And it's a combination of these engineers who've worked together forever, the best machinery, a culture in this firm that really is all about excellence, pristine work environments. Like these work environments have to be almost like vacuum so that they're so...
This is NVIDIA you're talking about?
No, this is TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor.
Got it.
Because they make the chips. So NVIDIA designs the chips.
And they're the ones who actually are putting
These are the guys who actually produce the chips.
Got it.
And so the argument is the Chinese will come in there because they want those. Yeah. My own sense is you have an invasion of a country like Taiwan, which is all it has is human capital. Yeah. It's only human beings. There's no natural resource. First of all, I think the United States would bomb the factories and they would be rendered inoperable. But even if they didn't, like you wouldn't be able to do it anymore under some dictatorship because the engineers would emigrate, they'd flee, they'd leave it, they'd be the new boat people. Yeah. The CEO once explained to me exactly how each unit worked, and they're in continuous collaboration with like 7 different countries that they have research centers, and ASML in Holland, which is the company that provides the lithography machines, teams in the US, teams in Germany. Like he said, we're like the hub of a global system. If we got invaded and all those things got cut off, all those connections got cut off to us, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So I think that the Chinese, it's not like you're going into Taiwan and there's like this big pot of gold.
Right.
There is an amazing intellectual operation that requires the active participation of hundreds of high-quality engineers with machines that need to be updated constantly and the software that needs to be updated constantly. That's all going to collapse.
But couldn't China see the value in that and be like, hey, we're going to look the other way on certain things just to make sure that this factory keeps running the way it should be?
But the Germans would cut their ties, and the Dutch would cut their ties, the Americans would cut their ties, and as I said, by the way, I also think the Americans would bomb the factory. So I don't think. But the Chinese have tried to replicate.
Yeah.
And remember, TSMC is basically a Taiwanese company, by which I mean it's all Chinese people. It's all ethnically Chinese people who, in many cases, who have fled the mainland. So you'd think it'd be pretty easy. They've spent, by some estimates, $200 billion trying to recreate a version of TSMC.
Can't do it.
The chips they make are very low quality. They make a lot of chips. I mean, we use all the chips in our washing machines and things like that are often Chinese chips. They can't make the high-end chips.